So for me, when we're talking about press coverage, the things that I want my guys to understand is their alignment first, their stance, their eyes, feet, hands, angles. And I feel like something that I've adopted over, my short career is that the finish, coaching the finish. I think a lot of guys always preach finish, 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 but you got to tell those guys, you got to teach them, how do you finish? They have to be able to answer you how to finish, right? So we're going to get into that as we get into it. We're going to start off with their alignment. So when our guys get up there, they want to have a plan, right? So when we get up there for our alignment, I want my guys about 1.5 yards to 2 yards off the receiver, right? Just depends on your eye discipline. I work with a guy at Mississippi State, Cam Dancer. His eye discipline was really good. So he, a lot of times, didn't feel like he needed to get up really, really close on guys. And he felt like, he can play it off and just be patient at the line and wait for that receiver to declare his release. And then he can get into what he wants to do and get hands on guys and run with them. So we want to start with the alignment being 1.5 yards to 2 yards off, and it just depends on the individual. Now you're talking about the depth. Now when we talk about where we want to align, that's going to depend on the split of the receiver. But if we're going off a base rule, I want those guys belt buckle aligned on the inside leg, taking away the inside leverage right now, right? Because the easiest throw, as we all know, is the slant, right? So if you put your belt buckle on the inside leg, I'm telling them right now, you cannot run the slant, right? The most times, a lot of guys are going to go for that fade ball. And as we get into this, I'm going to teach you how we play the fade ball. Now moving on to the stance. When our guys get up there, I want their feet shoulder width apart. So basically, when they line up shoulder width apart, their feet are going to be under their armpits, right? I want them to make a shoulder. I want their shoulders over their knees over their toes, basically creating a V in the knees and a Z in the body, right? You'll be able to see that when a guy gets up there, he's very relaxed, right? He has the weight on the balls of on the inside balls of his feet. You would hear me say this a lot, having your shoulders down, not resting your arms on your thighs. A lot of guys get in that position because they feel like it's very comfortable for them. But we have to have our shoulders down just so we're not playing too high and our head up, right? So having your shoulders down, your head up, so you can see what you're going to hit. And that leads me to my next point. Their eyes, where are their eyes supposed to be? I know a lot of guys say eyes on the belt buckle, eyes on the knees, the shins. And I've played under all of those different techniques and having your eyes in different places. But something that I felt has been very successful, and not only successful, but very comfortable for guys, is having their eyes at the top of the numbers, right? Because like I said, just being able to see what you're going to hit, right? I feel like with the eyes at the top of the numbers, you're going to be able to strike, right? Now we talk about using our feet. You're going to be able to strike in that area of the breastplate, right? So now as we move, so like I said, the progression is eyes, feet, hands, ankles, right? So eyes at the top of the numbers, being able to see what you can hit. Your feet are now active, right? A lot of guys get into this, a bit of a soft shoe, 6-inch motor step. I really just want my guys to actively foot fire in place, right? Their feet have to move independent, right? Because they have to be ready to slide and stay square and mirror the release of the receiver. I think this has been very successful just because it gets the guys going, and you're not creating space, because if you want to create space and go up and press, you would just play off. And you're not putting yourself in a disadvantage, right? To defend the different releases. If a guy gives you a speed release or anything like that, you want to be able to be in position to be on top, right? You want to be able to disrupt the route of the receiver, making him release twice, and then get on top of that. I think being able to activate your feet at the line of scrimmage, and you'll see it in my drill work, being able to activate your feet helps you stay square, right? A lot of times where guys get beat deep on simple releases, speed releases, things like that, their feet are dead at the line. So I think this active foot fire in place is a successful tool to use, and just understand and maintaining being on top, right? And being able to stay square. Now we talked about using your hands, so your eyes are in the right spots, right? You're keying the top of the numbers. Your feet are active, so on the release of that receiver, Your feet are active. Now we're talking about using our hands, right? And our mindset is going to be thinking 2 to 1 to none. So I teach that in a progression of the type of release that you get. Your hands and your feet work together. So for my guys, they understand they're going up there with a plan. If the guy releases at me in the framework of my body, I'm going to use 2 hands, right? So if that guy releases directly at me, I call it a tight release, right? We're going to use 2 hands. If that guy releases slightly outside the framework of my body, then I want to get into that offhand jam, and I call that an open release. So now I already have a plan. If I'm going against a bigger guy, this guy kind of likes to get physical, I got to be ready for the tight release. So I know I'm going to be using 2 hands, right? If I'm going against a shifty guy, say like a 6 foot, 190 type of guy, he's going to give you like a jab and release. He's going to give you that open release now. So I know once I get the open release, I'm going to use my offhand, right? So now that's the one hand. And then you get up there on those quick guys. Now you get ready for that outside wide speed release. And I declare that as a wide release because you can't get any hands on them now. So we always think 2 to 1 to none. So playing defensive back is a reactive position. And I think when you are able to react and have good reaction skills, Darrell Revis, Pac-Man Jones, Stephon Gilmore, those type of guys react very well to the things that they're getting. And now I feel like with these tools right here, tight, open, and wide, you know how to play them all. So when you're going against a tight release, I know, okay, this guy's within the framework of my body. So now I have to use those 2 hands to get hands on that guy. If this guy gives me a move and then it goes slightly outside the framework of my body, now you're getting into that open release, right? If this guy takes off right now, I can't get any hands on him. That's okay, right? That's a wide release. And it's more important now to get into your angles, right? So when these guys take their releases, we know, okay, I have to take that 45-degree cutoff angle, right? Getting ready to play on top, right? So I'm just going to go back, show you the hands one more time, always thinking 2 to 1 to none. So if this guy releases right at me, use your 2 hands, right? And bring your feet with it. Our feet can't go dead when we use our hands. I think that's the most important thing for DBs, young or old. When you do get your hands on the guy, it's not over, right? You got to bring your feet with it so your hands and feet work together, right? Then we get into that open release, right? Now the guy gets slightly outside the framework of my body, get into that offhand jam. And then versus a wide release, what I declare as a wide release, now you can't get any hands on them, and that's okay. Now you can't use any hands, right? So it could have been 2, nope. Could have been 1, nope. Now you get into that wide release, now it's no hands. You want to take that 45-degree cutoff angle. And you'll see this, how I form these releases for the DBs, like when they're going against certain guys. So like they know if it's a Monday and they're going into a game and they know they're going to get speed releases from a quick guy, so okay, we got to work wide releases all week, right? You get that bigger guy, you're going to work that tight release. This guy's going to try to get hands on you. He's going to try to bully you, and you got to be ready to step up and use your hands, right? So we talk about this angle. This angle is going to allow you to stay on top, right? I think something that guys get into, that puts them at a disadvantage, is taking a flat angle. You're going to where he is. No, I want to take that cutoff angle where he's going, right? And then you take the air out of the release of the receiver. And then now I want to talk about our mindset on the finish. So on the finish for us, we already know if we line up on a guy, it could be one-on-ones, it could be whatever it is when we're matched up on a guy. Our mindset on the releases of receivers is an outside release. I'm thinking fade to comeback, right? I want to finish on top, chest to chest. All right, you'll win the comeback with your feet. Protect the deep ball first. Protect the deep ball first. So if you get an inside release, I'm thinking post to dig to curl, right? Attached to that near shoulder. As that receiver starts working vertical, you're going to hear me say top shoulder, always preaching being on top, right? The successful DBs in the league can cover the deep ball. The Jair Alexander's, Tre'Davious White, Stephon Gilmore, Jalen Ramsey, they're great at defending the deep ball, the Deion Sanders of the world, right? So if I'm a freshman corner and I go into fall camp, I already know if I get an outside release, I'm thinking fade to comeback, right? If I'm getting an inside release, I'm thinking post to dig to curl, right? You want to get to that near shoulder for that curl, for that dig, because the guy's going to lean on you, right? And we want to be able to fight pressure with the same pressure back, right? So I know if I get to that near shoulder and grind that near shoulder, one, I'll be able to cover the dig, right? And if he does catch the dig, which does happen, if he catches the dig, I'll be in a perfect position to make the tackle. And you'll be able to see that in the drill work that I show. I think the main thing to take from this is that outside release, because a lot of guys, they see a lot of people being successful on those comebacks and they feel like, oh yeah, this is it. Like, I play the comeback. No, protect the deep ball first. The comebacks will always be thrown high and outside away from you. But anything low and inside, and I preach this to my guys all the time, anything low and inside should be an interception. I'll meet you in the end zone, right? So take you back through it again. Outside release, I'm thinking fade the comeback, right? I want to finish on top, right? Eyes, feet, hands, angles at the line, right? We want to take that 45-degree cutoff angle to make that guy go wide. Like something that I like to look into with my DBs, if I'm watching one-on-ones with them and anything like that, is where's the receiver at? Where's he start? And then where does he finish? He takes that outside release, he starts at the top of the numbers, and he finishes a yard or two from the sideline. That's a pretty dang good job by you, widening that guy, giving the quarterback no room for that guy to throw the ball. And we want to play chest to chest when we get in phase, and I'll talk about in phase in a second. We want to play chest to chest to make sure that we deny our man the ball. We know every time we line up there and press, this guy is going to get the ball. That's my mindset going into the play, into the play. My guy's going to get the ball. So I'm prepared. If they throw the ball at my guy, I'm going to deny him the ball, right? And I feel like if you play chest to chest, you put yourself in an advantage situation where he won't catch the ball. You know, a lot of guys want to look and lean and things like that, and that's great. That there is a time for that, but I think that helps you on low underthrown balls. I'm coaching you for the perfect throw, right? So when that ball is on top, over top, on time, right? I'm chest to chest, and now I can really just find his hands. And if I get in that situation where I am in phase, and as I declare here, being in phase is being step to step down the field in the receiver's near hip, right? So if I'm in phase with this guy, he's taking the outside release, I'm poised in that situation. I'm squeezing the receiver out chest to chest. So like I said, look where he starts and then look where he finishes, right? I'm looking up and not back. Because if I look back, I'm going to naturally slow down. But if I look up, I'm going to keep running with the receiver, and that ball is going to be thrown up in the air. So I think it's very important that you understand the ball will be up and over the top, right? If I look back, now I'm going to immediately put myself out of phase, right? So I'm looking up and not back, and then attack the ball at its highest point. At the end of the day, we want to catch interceptions, but if our guy doesn't catch the ball, we did our job, right? So now you talk about being out of phase. The receiver now has a step on us. He has one step on us. We are beat, right? So the coaching points for that would be run, do not look back, find his hands, and then violently take away the outside hand, right? And we'll be able to walk. I'll be able to show you guys this stuff. But just I like coaching this part right here because this is when it counts, right? You can be awful at the line, but if you understand how to finish, then you'll be successful, right? So versus inside release, I'm thinking post to dig to curl. Versus outside release, I'm thinking fade to comeback, right? Win the comeback with your feet. When he sinks his hips, you sink your hips.